Hello there everyone and welcome back. It was a rough series of matches for my Orc fleet, and like I hinted at before, it is a bit of a battle uphill with the bugs not kind of allowing this fleet to function as it should. And of course, always making my own mistakes there with the fleet kind of ensured the defeats that I had, but I honestly do believe if those ever get fixed, I feel like the SAPs and boarding torpedoes centric type of fleets can be just as impactful in a lot of ways, as opposed to the mega cannons, which is normally the route you want to go with an Orc fleet. But until then, let's move on over to the Tyranids, and it's the fleet you remember, or at least I'm terribly biased, since I made this fleet ever since the release of Armada 2, at least the original variation of this fleet, where I'm relying heavily on strangle tentacles and just of course boarding damage, whereas every single Tyranid opponent back then, or every single Tyranid player rather, was more invested in their heavy boarding strategies, since that had to get nerfed down, and I would still argue, with how I've been able to manage against a lot of carrier fleets, I don't think maybe it was as problematic as it seems way back when. It's just a lack of experience maybe that made this so difficult, since after all, these fighters and boarding crafts are slower than everything else in the game after all. So just running away from them and just baiting the fighters away could still be pretty good. Ever since the implementation to allow yourself to recharge your fighters and torpedoes, you figure this fleet would have made a resurgence. You feel like, but apparently it did not. It was Pyro Acid, and even then I think Pyro Acid is the most prominent type of fleet, even after its nerf, but that's neither here or there. Let's play with more strangle tentacles, a lot of frigates, and some cruisers on the side to harass, and see if I remember how to use this fleet. Because it's a very technical fleet, I won't lie. So it's probably prone to suffering the same rough matches as I did with my Orc fleet. But let's have some fun either way. Alright, Chaos. What better adversary to munch on than one that can't potentially obliterate me in an instant if I were to misplay in any manner? Since Chaos don't really have the best burst damage normally, the closest they can get is with their bombers, and with the sheer amount of point defense that Tyranids can have because of their trait that their shields are actually their point defense. Alright, so where was I? I got distracted there for a moment. I was talking about the fact that the point defense are incredibly good, I want to argue, for destroying their fighters and their bombers, at least compared to other ships, and that was the wrong stance, but who knows, maybe I'll trick my opponent if I'm so lucky. Otherwise, let's get my group set up. Like I said, this is a very complicated fleet. I have 2 drones for grabbing points. I have a couple of Krakens I'm going to use kind of to harass and munch on some opponents. And we'll see where it goes from there. Because at least that way, if I don't have to grab these points with my main ships, then that works out well for everything else. Only factor to keep an eye on is the possibility of my rushes being silent or not. We'll have to play that by ear though. And even then, it's possible that my opponent may still hear it just because it might be a host thing. I'm not entirely certain if I'm serious. I don't even think I should be prioritizing the engines, but I don't really have the morale damage to take advantage. Let's see, beacon going down in the middle, that's fine. This just gives me opportunity to maneuver as such. And ultimately, the strategy is to just harass with my Krakens and ideally get a window to do damage. Although this beacon's going to conveniently spot my, let's see, fighters. Fighters are always going to be annoying. It's going to restrict my movement quite a bit, especially with the beacon in comparison. And I don't really like rushing, especially if it's like a bug. Because sometimes you can hear it, sometimes you don't. But it would be very beneficial for repositioning right now. Otherwise, let the drones grab the points. Get these Krakens in a good position, maybe. And if the drone gets sniped, that's fine. I could just rush on out, hopefully. And with Chameleonic Skin, or the Chameleonic Skin, I am able to reconceal pretty well. And my Spore Field's about to hit them, which should scare them a bit. I just have no idea where the fighters are, because they may have flew in a gas cloud. Alright, Spore Field should bomb. I don't know why there was no blast symbol for it, but it works. For now. Now I just gotta watch to see if this thing starts getting shot at. At least it'll give me valuable intel on what we're up against. So I'm not ultimately against that. Alright, so standard devastation. Alright, let's get this out of the way. So that way it can survive to grab a point another day. Gotta be careful. Lances are like the one weapon that are pretty good against Krakens. So I do need to be cautious there. I don't know why I'm holding fire, it doesn't really matter that much, but keep them guessing is the name of the game. Although grabbing this point actually would give away a bit of my strategy. Now, let's try and make them squirm a bit. So that is going directly for the point there. How close are we? We're pretty close. I just don't want to rush in case it might prompt an overreaction of some kind. Just kill the crew, although I don't want to rush in there. Just keep eating. Keep feeding. I have to ask, how come you're not grabbing the point? Oh, this game's all sorts of bugs right now, it feels like. Alright, you are marked. You cannot hide very well. And I want to kill the crew. Good. I got what I wanted. Although that's unfortunate there. Or is it? Because I can get a lot of boring damage in. And these things could take a bit of a beating. Although that may have been a mistake, I'm just realizing, because it's going to give away where my flagship is. Alright, just keep hitting and kill off more of the crew. And keep an eye. Well, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to live, for crying out loud. That's what I want to do. I want to live and win and murder these ships. And Kraken sadly are dying, but boring damage is being done. And this is going to be a lot of boring damage in a moment. So flagship is pretty limping right now. Sadly, it burnt all that. The strangled tentacles, that's not a big loss, though. Come on, get my ships going. I told you this is a very complicated fleet. A lot of it is because my rushes don't turn off my burn retro stance, which is really problematic if I'm trying to maneuver my ships in a panic. So board that to all hell, ideally. Grab the point there and start repositioning. Yeah, I did a lot of damage to myself, but hopefully the boring damage is worth it. Alright. Now we just gotta kill him off. We got 3 points, so I'm kind of okay, objective-wise. And Kraken's still regenerating health at the moment. And keep the micro-warp jump handy, in case. And that's a spore field, was it? It's hard to tell sometimes because it looks like my own ability. And this is why I hang on to the Void, was it? The Void Lurker. Although now my flagship's kind of broke on me too. I don't know what the hell to make of this. This is all sorts of nonsense, isn't it? Never mind the fact I am quite messing up on my controls some. But it's like I said, it's a very technical fleet. I have to play a good handful of matches to really get a feel for what, just being able to plan out my strategy properly for no other reason. Well, it's a start at least. Now we just gotta get refined, which might justify me doing multiple videos with this fleet, just for that alone. Huh, interesting, bloodletter parties. Interesting you would try and use that against probably the hardest ships to kill crew-wise. Alright, now we have ourselves a match between two different boarding-centric fleets. This is going to be interesting. Well, if I utilize my skills properly, it should go in my advantage pretty well. Since, keep in mind, one of the unique skills or abilities that Tyranids have, as opposed to every other faction, instead of called arms, I can just immediately regenerate all my troops in the current troop phase. So the best way to get full value out of it, of course, is to try and get just before it rolls over. Although that can be really punishing if you don't utilize it or time it properly, especially with managing a fleet this size, keep that in mind. That makes it even more complicated, but it is definitely going to be essential for this type of matchup. Now, let me get my crews all grouped together. This is definitely going to be odd. Well, if my Krakens can get some good hits in, then, or at least some boarding in early on for free, that's a good deal. I don't think I want Spasmic Accretion, though. What would be a good alternative skill? Outside of maybe, well, I need to take down the shields for Lictor Brood to even matter. Spore fields have an identification range, that doesn't do me much good. Only thing I could think of is maybe the regeneration speed on any critical hits that they do. So it greatly, hopefully greatly minimizes the chance of a permanent critical hit on me. I like to think that's a good strategy, but let me put myself in the most obscure position possible, ideally. And I gotta remember, I can actually go through these asteroid belts for free. So I shouldn't be trying to run away or be afraid of them. Otherwise, second drone is just gonna grab this 1 point. Sounds simple enough. Let's see how it works. And what are we looking at here? Possibly double battle barge? I'm just wondering, what should I prioritize for this fleet? Since they're not going to break due to morale. Okay, hangar-based strike cruiser. That's fine. And I have assault rushes again, which I really dislike having to feel like I'm abusing that trait. So I'm going to try and not rush carelessly. Never mind the fact, again, it can always backfire because, who knows, on my opponent's end, they could be hearing it.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
So that's a lance battle barge there. So, gotta keep an eye on where these fighters are going. So they're all going directly down.
The enemy has
that is
seized
fine.
a strategic area.
And you just rush and grab me the points. We'll work from there. And if anything, I should just take my time. I have no need to rush, so long as I can get some damage in. I would like to strike at this strike cruiser. And keep in mind, I might get revealed in a moment if I go any closer. Only thing I'm worried about. And since they boost for me, this gives me, well, it doesn't really make much of a difference, I suppose. But it does mask when I'm within sensor range, because a keen-eyed opponent would see if I reveal them. And that can give away my entire attack, possibly.
You have seized a strategic area.
Alright, drone, you get moving. That gives away possibly what I'm doing. Actually, I don't want to do that because that's a bad idea. Although I might still get bored and all that anyway. So this might not be pretty.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
I don't think they see me. I don't think they see me. Let's capitalize on this. Nice and quickly.
You have seized a strategic area.
I don't like that move order because that could easily backfire. But boring damage is nice. I'll happily take that. Because my opponent doesn't know what to do with this, it seems like. I will accept this victory. And by victory, I mean this a very successful boring run that we just did. And there's the annoying thing. I have to remember that they're busy burning retros right now. So everything's back and operational. My opponent doesn't know what to do. I feel bad for him. This would otherwise be a very scary fleet most of the time. Oh, I thought they were hitting. Hide some more, dang it. I don't know what gave away your position. I don't like it. This poor thing is about to get munched on. Oh, and that was my flagship. I would have liked that to have kept doing boring damage, but we're okay. Let them grab the points for all I care. I got the real prize right now, and it's a big, giant, tasty battle barge that is very slowly going to die. Oh, micro warp jump here, so be ready for that. Who knows where that's going. So we're just going to steal a point from him. Yeah, again, burning retros. That's all. That's the most annoying gripe I have with trying to control this fleet, especially when it's been forever since I even used this fleet.
The enemy
Although
has accumulated
my opponent's
25%
gonna have a
of
difficult time
strategic
here.
points.
All right. I have double rushes available in a moment. Actually, let's just rush on in and eat this ship some more, shall we? Because they refuse to move with it. And your supercharged force shield sadly is not going to be helpful here. Although I am going to suffer a lot of attrition. Alright, we have a gas cloud. Let's board it. Board it some more. And then run the hell away! Although, I should have fired torpedoes, dang it. I got too excited for my own good. Whee! My opponent's probably wondering what the heck they can do, but if they can kill this flagship, it's still anybody's game. This could still be very damn brutal. And I would love to grab that point. Although, I'm in no rush. We did an absurd amount of boring damage. I have scanner pulses. And this is about to lose its crew. Poor thing. This is not a fair fight right now. I feel like a terrible devourer of worlds right now. Because they have the skills, they just don't know how to deal with this fleet, basically. And it's gonna cost them dearly. Otherwise, it got the point there. They do have quite the point lead on me, since these ships, because they're not actually dead yet, it doesn't contribute to my score at all. Okay. You got the ship reactivated, that's fine. Because guess what? We got more where that came from. We're coming for ya. It's only a matter of time. And I'd still have my micro warp jump, my foil lurker, if this were to somehow go bad. And you're about to get boarded. Sorry, not happening. You are just now negated. And you're about to lose your engines permanently too, with that said. That's all she wrote. I don't know if there's any frigates to be worried about. It doesn't look like there's any frigates. But we got this under wraps. Oh, that's gonna get negated too, I'm afraid. It's just a slow, very painful demise at this point. This may not be very interesting to watch. They have micro warp jump, they have all the skills unlocked. It's just the moral of my opponent does not know how to deal with this fleet, I guess. Or maybe just doesn't know how to deal with Tyranids. That was not pretty. I am so sorry, P-dubs. I am sorry. And it's hard to say what his actual ranking is because of dang their visual glitch. Which for all I know, this could be my ranking. Yeah, it is my ranking. So I have no idea if he was copper, gold, or even the same ranking as me there. He just, again, probably had no idea how to deal with that kind of fleet. Alright. Chaos again. I don't recognize this person, but I love that portrait, I gotta say. I'm assuming it's just the Black Legion? The Luna Wolves? I forget what the dang chapter's called now. I honestly can't remember for the life of me. It's just on the tip of my tongue. I remember what the original Legion was called, the Luna Wolves, but I can't remember what they're called now. The Black Legion, I think, I want to say. I don't know. And it's gonna bother me until someone corrects me. Either way, we already seen this matchup to an extent. It's possible they can mix up a bit, whether it be Grand Cruisers or something else I could not tell you. But the same philosophy still applies in that I don't have to worry about big bursty damage. At least so long as I'm mindful of bombers. Heavy carrier fleets can be a scare, but only if they can successfully hit me. They are definitely going to eat through my Krakens pretty damn quickly, just because they don't have point defense due to their lack of shields. That's the only big problematic issue. But I don't really care about the Krakens so much. If they can distract them, make them burn resources, that works out well. And where are my manners? Silly me. Either way, I'm just wondering how I want to deploy. It seems like I should deploy in the middle because it gives me most freedom, but at the same time my opponent's likely to try and detect me in the middle, and a hive ship is not going to be able to reposition itself quickly without potentially giving away where it is with audible rush ability. Because the rush is bugged in that sometimes it makes the audio cue and sometimes it doesn't. I just couldn't tell you again if it's related to like the server connection, whoever's hosting. So this is an odd fleet. We got the Drakes for so extra boarding damage. So maybe not the most fearsome fleet. So it goes with the potential theory that my opponent may not know what they're in for just yet. So this is going to be brutal to my poor adversary then. And again, I'm curious about audible rushes. Okay, they're audible that time. And I am okay with rushing with the drones because after all, they're going to grab the objectives, so why the hell not? They're going to be giving away their position regardless, and my opponent may want to try and make their way towards them.
The enemy has seized a strategic area.
Everything else I want to try and keep quiet because my opponent, if they're savvy enough, can hear this and uses a bit of a tell, which is probably part of the reason why I got thrown off so much in that Orc match against Tyranids, since I didn't really consider or act upon the fact they had silent rushes. Never mind the fact that the frigates, let's see, it's only the Krakens of the frigates that don't have shields, in which case they couldn't have shot down the torpedoes. That played a mild factor as well, but failing to consider, the assault rushes may have cost me just on that alone. Otherwise, they got 2 points, I'm grabbing 2 points. And actually, let me just keep moving this way. Nope, they do have a beacon. Where is it heading? Directly south, so actually, let's just make preparations to get the hell out. Do need to be mindful that these, well, they're not really lances per se. They're equipped with boarding weaponry. Alright. So let's see if we could kill this frigate off quickly. I don't want to rush after it, but I might have to resort to it. Alright, so sadly the bombers are going to kill one Kraken. And apparently I was revealed by another scanner pulse, which I'm still being revealed by. So everything basically survives, if only temporarily. And that is unfortunate timing right there. The Kraken survives, but these things are way too slow, they're not going to catch them. And sadly that sucks, because that may have given away where my flagship is. That frigate's gone though, so that's a 1+ there. Alright, conceal ourselves and play this game again. Although I would have really liked that thing to have died. The fire results were just not enough, but I'm playing a fleet that doesn't really do any damage at all, let's be honest, so I don't think that's a bit of a surprise, is it? So what's taking damage? Sadly that didn't work, but I can potentially kill this frigate off, and they're only going to have one frigate left. So let's grab these points then. Take advantage of this while we can. Actually, let me just grab this point. I can easily grab it with a single cruiser. They're not going to be able to do much about it until their bombers get recalled. And dang it, you were supposed to grab the point, I messed it up. That is unfortunate. And embarrassing, but these can actually defend themselves. That's not a problem at all. And then we'll have easily 4 points to call my own. Although, I gotta be mindful. Let's see, beacon. Alright. Let me actually recharge my foil lurker. Do I lurk or not?
You have seized a strategic area.
I only got 1 boring damage in, so that's unfortunate. But I do have the points. So that's good enough, and with them having no other frigates, I just wish I could have done some more boring, but that's close enough where it can be crippled quickly enough. And my opponent's just plain scared right now. And let me foil lurker, that'll speed things up a bit. And just conceal these things. Chameleonic skin is amazing, but the fact that I'm grouping up these too much may be a bit costly. If only slightly. But now that I have objectives, let's see about forcing my opponent to do something here. And this is a good tell about when the scanner pulse is available. Alright. Just keep moving, keep positioning, and there's our scanner pulse friend. And this works out better since it only reveals one of the Krakens for the moment.
You have accumulated 25% of strategic points.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to wait until they're outside the fighter range to kind of conceal themselves. And Scanner Pulse will do its thing. Now you're still spot. Oh, you're still marked. So never mind that. I do know where the frigate is, but I can't do a whole lot more just yet. And they are relying on bombers, so I got permission to just let my frigates or cruisers do most of their work. And if anything, let's just get ready to grab the points behind them. Because now I just took the lead, let's just put a clock on them. And thankfully the health regeneration is keeping this thing from burning to death right now. If only just barely. Gotta be very careful though, but I will be able to do something. Well, I don't even need to do any damage, let's be honest. I just grab the point behind them, rinse, repeat. They're not being they're not being forward with their rushing just yet.
The enemy is seizing one of your strategic areas.
No. Let's grab this point as quickly as we can. Although, did I use adrenal glands and waste it, basically? I may have just did that. So did... Alright. So you already launched your fighters, so this is pretty good for me. And I can take these hits pretty well. I have the shield recharge, keep mine too. So fire lances. This might be the window I'm looking for. I just gotta do the boring damage necessary to catch, because I want to leave my fighters handy. Oh, that was unfortunate. It didn't end badly yet, though. Although I would like adrenal glands to be helpful here. Nope.
You have accumulated 50% of strategic points.
Alright, shields are going to get to recharge. I'm waiting for the bombers, essentially. And I saw... Okay, I did launch fighters. Okay, I was wondering about that. Now, can we just eat this ship here? At least eat the frigate. That would be ideal. Because I did the damage needed. So let's just get out of here. Kind of a weird strategy, but it works. With all the boring damage we're about to do, although I should have fired more boring torpedoes with that said. But I am in kind of no rush right now with 3 points, still having the lead at that. And them having just burnt their cold arms.
50% of strategic points.
I can recharge these shields quickly. So, in retrospect, maybe I was being a little too cautious there. At least it's seeming like. I just had a really hard time killing the frigate, which of course adds a lot of difficulty to this. Alright. Yes, all the boarding. Thank you. Now, where's our, well, lowly ship here? I want to kill that flagship off, ideally. And we have a good window for it. Because it's stuck in that slow field, its engines have been prioritized. That was a terrible angle for my torpedoes, I won't lie. Because I think none of them are really going to hit. Nope, never mind, they're going to hit. And I guess they're just going to warp it out, which gets negated. Alright. You're dead. You're basically dead, and now let's boarding torpedo on this other one. And those were perfectly placed spore fields, I gotta say. Although I should have done that a little bit differently, because now I have no assault ships. Alright. So kill the crew of this and get ready to board the other one, I guess. I'm just going to need a rush available to help get value. Because, what is it? Flagship? Well, it's actually still alive, but destroying a ship will fix that. If I'm somehow able to destroy a ship, that is. And also, I should be trying to prioritize the deck, or at least prioritize something else if the engine's already gone. So you're a mutiny, you are gone. I have torpedoes, and I'm about to recharge my, what is it? Reclamation pool, which I can use on the other cruiser. Although it looks like it's already might die, depending on how the boarding goes. Nope, that wasn't the ship I want, but this looks like a victory. In retrospect, though, I feel like maybe I was playing ridiculously cautious. Maybe too cautious for my own good, considering fighting these things head-on hasn't really been a problem. I'm just trying to minimize the risk, ideally. At least that's the thought process, but destroying the frigate would have allowed me to play more daring. And I wasn't able to get that opportunity to my liking. So you're a drifting hulk, you're dead. And oh yeah, and I want to recharge your torpedoes with it, didn't I? So launch the torpedoes! Okay, so this thing just died, that's what happened. Alright. I better not get too complacent because the score is still relatively close. If they kill anything of value, especially with the brain kind of disabled, which killed my stance, that could turn things around, honestly. Especially if the hive ship were to die. Keep in mind, my opponent's getting credit for all the ships that they're killing. I'm getting nothing for all these drifting hulks. So this is a lot more close than it probably needs to be. But otherwise, that boarding damage alone will seal the deal. I just did terrible use of my drones, I won't lie. I kind of forgot they existed. And that is a bit of a mistake. Especially since my opponent is going to be trying to run away from me. I could have just easily had him in position to get some free boarding in at the very least. 6 points of troop damage is nothing to scoff over. Although, interesting fleet. You didn't really use assault ships on me. So they had the right idea, maybe? I was just playing very cautious myself, sadly.